I want to close. I want to close with a famous play and a famous game in football. And I love this, not just because it's the Dallas Cowboys losing. Can never go wrong with that. No, that would be even better. But I love it because it's one of the most famous plays. It's called the Ice Bowl. And it's one of the game to go to the very first Super Bowl. And with 16 seconds left, the Green Bay Packers, nearing the end of their dynasty, it was freezing. It was fourth down on the 1 yard line. They couldn't get enough friction to get running because the ground was literally frozen. It's called the frozen tundra for a reason. And Bart Starr, famously, you can see in the video, he dives over that pile and he scores the touchdown. And there's a couple plays later, but that was pretty much the end of it. And it sealed the Cowboys' fate, and it sealed the Packers from going to the Super Bowl. And what happened at the end of the game? Well, at the end of the game, they carried Bart Starr off on his shoulder. You see the quarterback. But there was a man, a Pro Bowl Hall of Famer, who Bart Starr dove over, who blocked Jethro Pugh, the defensive lineman. His name was Jerry Kramer. And if you see that footage, you'll see him, watch him dive right over. And it was Jerry Kramer. And Jerry Kramer, a Hall of Fame guard, he wrote in his autobiography about this play that he struggled, he worked. He gave that play everything he had. He pushed the defensive lineman, a large man, he pushed him back and gave Bart Starr plenty of room so that he could follow through. And he said at the end of the game, he walked around and he saw everybody cheering Bart Starr. He saw Bart Starr being carried off, and he thought about himself, and even that freezing cold, he said he began to get depressed because he's the one that did the block. If he didn't do his job, Bart Starr doesn't make it. They don't win the game. They don't go to the first Super Bowl. Everything is lost. I did my job, he thought. I did it, and they're carrying that clown off. That's not right. That's not fair. I did the right thing. Nobody's patting me on the back. Nobody noticed what I did. And he said when he was feeling so depressed about it, walking there before he went in the tunnel, that the famed coach, Vince Lombardi, caught his eye and simply with a nod of admiration let him know that even though the millions of people watching, the thousands of people in the stands, even though they didn't recognize what he did, the old coach saw it and knew that without him there would be no play and they would not have won the game. And Jerry Kramer said, even though at the moment he felt depressed and the cold was setting in, he said a joy came over him and a warmth came over him that he couldn't explain. Because even though millions of people didn't notice it, and he was unknown to everybody else, and everyone in history really doesn't know it was Jerry Kramer's block that won the game, he said as long as Vince Lombardi knew, that's all that matters. Are you willing to be unknown for the cause of Christ? Are you willing to be the unknown preacher or giver of the gospel? Even though other people are more famous, even though other people have their names printed on schools and printed on churches and flyers, and even though other people get patted on the back, are you willing simply to be the guy who makes the block so that Jesus can score? Are you willing to be the person that lets someone else come to know Christ? Mom, how is that not you? Sir, how is that not you with your children? How is that not every believer in Jesus Christ? The unknown preacher of the gospel. You bow your head.